What if some of America's most powerful muscle cars were also the hardest to find? From factory-built Hemi monsters to rare racing homologation specials, these cars were produced in numbers so tiny that surviving examples are now automotive treasures. Today, we're counting down the rarest muscle cars ever made in U.S. history, and number 1 has only 11 built. There are rare muscle cars, and then there are cars like the 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. Plymouth took its already legendary Cuda, added the brutal 426 Hemi 5.8, and then made it a convertible, creating one of the most desirable combinations in American muscle car history. Under the hood was Chrysler's 7.0-liter 426 Hemi, officially rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. But what makes this car truly extraordinary isn't just the engine, it's how few were actually built. For 1970, only 14 Hemi Cuda convertibles were produced, 7 with 4-speed manual transmissions and 7 with automatic transmissions. That means this wasn't simply a powerful muscle car, it was an exceptionally limited factory configuration. With its shaker hood, aggressive styling, and legendary Hemi power, the Hemi Cuda convertible became a symbol of the peak muscle car era. Today, surviving examples are among the most valuable and collectible American muscle cars ever built. In 1966, Ford built a Fairlane that looked relatively restrained, but underneath it was essentially a factory-built drag racing weapon. The Ford Fairlane 427 R code packed Ford's legendary 7.0-liter 427 V8, producing a factory-rated 425 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. It featured high-performance hardware designed for straight-line competition, including dual 4-barrel carburetors, heavy-duty components, and a 4-speed manual transmission. But the R code wasn't produced in huge numbers. Ford built these cars specifically for serious performance enthusiasts, making them extremely uncommon today. With its lightweight Fairlane body and massive 427 engine, the R code could deliver brutal acceleration while remaining a factory-built street car. Few Fairlanes were ever this extreme, and even fewer have survived in original condition. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS454 LS6 convertible combined two things that rarely came together: open-top cruising and serious big-block muscle. Under the hood was Chevrolet's monstrous 454 cubic inch LS6 V8, officially rated at 450 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. That made the LS6 one of the most powerful factory engines of the classic muscle car era. But the convertible version was where things became truly special. The LS6 was already a relatively limited option, and combining it with the SS convertible body created an exceptionally uncommon configuration. You could drop the top, hear that massive 7.4-liter V8 roar, and still have enough power to embarrass many dedicated performance cars. Chevrolet built far fewer LS6 convertibles than the more common hardtops, making genuine examples extremely desirable today. The result was more than just a powerful Chevelle. It was one of the ultimate open-air muscle cars of the 1970 era, and one of the rarest combinations Chevrolet offered. The 1970 Pontiac GTO Judge convertible was already rare before you even opened the hood. Pontiac built the Judge as its high-performance GTO, complete with bold graphics, a rear spoiler, and aggressive styling, but very few buyers chose the convertible. Power came from Pontiac's big block V8 options, including the legendary Ram Air 4400, rated at 370 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. But the real rarity lies in the combination Judge, convertible, and Ram Air 4. Only 17 GTO Judge convertibles were built for 1970, and just 3 received the highly desirable Ram Air 4 engine. That makes those cars some of the rarest factory-built Pontiac muscle cars ever produced. With a powerful V8 open-air body and unmistakable Judge styling, the 1970 GTO Judge convertible represents one of the most exclusive combinations of the classic muscle car era. The 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 wasn't built simply to sell fast Mustangs. It was created to put Ford's massive 429 cubic inch V8 into NASCAR competition. Under the hood sat a specially developed 7.0-liter big block, officially rated at 375 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. But the engine was so wide that Ford had to modify the Mustang's engine bay, suspension, and front structure just to make it fit. And that extreme engineering came at a price. Production was tiny compared with ordinary Mustangs. Ford produced only about 859 Boss 429s for 1969, making it one of the rarest factory Mustangs of the muscle car era. What makes the Boss 429 fascinating is that it wasn't designed around flashy styling or maximum showroom sales. It was essentially a street-legal NASCAR weapon disguised as a Mustang. Today, its combination of racing pedigree, enormous engine, and limited production makes the Boss 429 one of the most coveted American muscle cars ever built. The Plymouth Superbird 426 Hemi was one of the most outrageous machines to come out of the American muscle car era. With its enormous rear wing, pointed nose, and unmistakable aerodynamic shape, it looked more like a race car than a street car. But underneath that wild body was the legendary 426 Hemi 5.8, producing an official 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. The Hemi version was especially rare because most Superbirds were equipped with the 440. Only 135 Superbirds were built with the 426 Hemi, making this configuration dramatically rarer than the already unusual Superbird itself. The reason Plymouth created the car was NASCAR homologation. The aerodynamic body was designed to give the Superbird a major advantage at high speeds on the racetrack, while the street versions allowed Plymouth to meet racing requirements. With its massive wing, Hemi power, and tiny production numbers, the Hemi Superbird became one of the most collectible and instantly recognizable American muscle cars ever made. NASCAR's high-speed tracks. Dodge reshaped the Charger's front end and rear window to improve aerodynamics, creating the special Charger 500. But for buyers who wanted the ultimate version, there was the legendary 426 Hemi under the hood, an engine rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. The production numbers tell the real story. Only 60 Charger 500s were equipped with the 426 Hemi, making this combination exceptionally rare. Unlike the later Daytona, the Charger 500 kept a relatively restrained appearance. But beneath that familiar body was a purpose-built NASCAR-inspired machine with one of Chrysler's most powerful engines. Today, a genuine Hemi Charger 500 represents one of the rarest factory Charger combinations of the classic muscle car era, and a fascinating piece of Dodge's battle for NASCAR dominance. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona 426 Hemi took the already extreme Charger and turned it into a NASCAR-inspired monster. Its pointed nose and enormous rear wing weren't there for decoration. They were designed to make the car more stable and aerodynamic at racing speeds. Under the hood, the rarest versions carried Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi 5.8, producing an official 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. With the right gearing, this was a brutally fast machine for its time. But the number that makes the Hemi Daytona truly special is production. Of the roughly 503 Charger Daytonas built, only about 70 received the 426 Hemi. That tiny number makes the Hemi-powered Daytona far rarer than the standard Daytona, and because it combined NASCAR-inspired aerodynamics with one of America's most legendary big block engines, it became one of the most coveted and recognizable muscle cars ever built. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 was essentially a race engine disguised as a street car. Chevrolet developed it for buyers who wanted extreme performance, and what sat under the hood was unlike almost anything else in the Camaro lineup. The Star was an all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8, officially rated at 430 horsepower, and designed with serious competition in mind. The aluminum construction helped reduce weight, while the engine's performance potential was enormous. But the real reason the ZL1 became legendary is its production number. Chevrolet built just 69 examples with the ZL1 engine in 1969. That makes it one of the rarest factory Camaros ever produced. And because the engine was closely associated with Chevrolet's racing program, the ZL1 wasn't simply a powerful Camaro, it was essentially a factory-built performance weapon with license plates. Today, the 1969 Camaro ZL1 stands among the most valuable and sought-after American muscle cars, combining extreme rarity, racing technology, and legendary big block power in one package. By 1971, the classic muscle car era was already beginning to change, but Plymouth still produced one of its most outrageous combinations, the Hemi Cuda convertible. Under the hood was Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi Fiv 8, officially rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. But the engine was only half of what made this car extraordinary. Buyers were getting that brutal power in a two-door convertible body, a combination that was exceptionally uncommon. The production figure is astonishing. Only 11 Hemi Cuda convertibles were built for 1971. That tiny number makes the 71 Hemi Cuda convertible one of the rarest factory muscle cars in American history. Its aggressive grille, shaker hood, racing-inspired styling, and legendary Hemi engine created a machine that looked as wild as it performed. Today, those 11 cars are considered blue-chip American muscle car collectibles, with surviving examples among the most valuable classic Mopars ever produced.